With each layer, something shifted inside me. It wasn't just about the clothes, it was about stepping into a new version of myself, one that I had never allowed to exist. When she added a few subtle shaping elements and handed me a sleek top, the reflection staring back at me was no longer awkward or out of place. It was someone else. Someone confident. Someone whole. Michelle stepped back, smiling. "Now," she said, "that looks a little more like the real you." I stared at the mirror, speechless. For the first time, I didn't feel ridiculous. I didn't feel like I was pretending. I felt transformed. It should really have been a full slip, but I only have one, and I'm wearing it, Michelle joked softly, lifting the edge of her skirt just enough to reveal a lace trim. "Now sit here," she said gently, pointing to a chair beside the vanity. I sat down nervously, feeling more aware of my appearance than I ever had before. Michelle worked carefully, applying light makeup with the precision of an artist, a little eyeliner, a touch of blush, a subtle tint to my lips. I did my best to follow her instructions, opening and closing my eyes when asked, trying not to fidget under her focused gaze. When she was satisfied, she brought over a soft, shoulder-length blonde wig and styled it with practiced hands. "There," she whispered, stepping back with a proud smile. Then came the outfit, a flowing pale green dress that felt weightless as I slipped into it. Michelle zipped it up and handed me a pair of low sandals. As I stood, she clasped her hands over her mouth, eyes wide. "Oh, you're beautiful," she breathed. More than I expected. I laughed awkwardly, but the way she said it sent a rush of warmth through me. "Go on," she urged. Check the mirror slowly. The short walk to the bathroom felt surreal. The dress swayed gently around my legs, the unfamiliar shoes made me move differently, and every step reminded me that I was inhabiting a version of myself I had never known before. Inside, I pulled away the towel covering the mirror and froze. A young woman stared back at me. My features were still mine, yet somehow softer. My jawline seemed gentler, my eyes brighter, my lips fuller. The subtle makeup brought out expressions I didn't know I had. I turned this way and that, marveling at how the silhouette in the mirror looked confident, graceful, feminine. I don't know how long I stood there, just staring. When Michelle knocked gently on the door, I finally called back, yeah. "I'm okay. You like it?" she asked when I stepped out. "It's incredible," I admitted. "I don't even recognize myself." "Good," she said with a smile. "Now come have a drink, dinner's ready." I followed her, still half in a dream. Taking off the clothes was out of the question. I felt too connected to this new version of myself. Even over dinner, I caught myself glancing down, still trying to believe what I saw. Later, with wine in hand, we sank into the sofa. Michelle grinned and gently teased, "Keep your knees together when you sit. It's more ladylike." I laughed and did as she said, my cheeks warming. For the first time in my life, the gesture didn't feel like an act, it felt natural. Finally, I looked at her and asked quietly, "Well, did you achieve your goal?" "My goal," she repeated, arching an eyebrow. "You asked me to do you a favor and dress up," I said with a small smile. "So, did I pass?" "In that case, yes," she laughed softly. "Why did you want me like this?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Well," she began thoughtfully, "you've spent weeks asking me what it feels like, why I want to express my feminine side, why I dress the way I do. I thought the best way for you to understand was to experience it yourself." "I don't feel like a woman," I admitted honestly. "But do you feel good?" she asked with a knowing smile. I blushed, unable to hide my grin. "I feel terrific." "Exactly," she said, leaning back in her chair. "Do you feel confident? Attractive? Like you're seeing yourself in a new light?" I nodded. "Yeah, I feel beautiful. And I kind of don't want to take it all off." "Then you understand a little of what I feel," she said gently. "The novelty of the clothes fades, but the confidence, the feeling of being alive in your skin, that stays. When I'm living as a woman, I feel seen. I feel valued. That's what matters most." I sat quietly for a moment, thinking about what she said. I knew Mike wasn't interested in men. We'd spent plenty of time talking about women, just like any two friends would. And despite everything that had changed tonight, our friendship still felt solid. "Is that the only reason you asked me to do this?" I asked. Because I was curious? No, she said, looking a little shy now. I also knew I could help you see something different in yourself. You've always had kind eyes and a graceful build. I just wanted to show you another side of who you could be. I smiled and accepted the glass she poured me. Fair enough. I guess I'm the one who should be thanking you. I've never worn anything like this before, and I'm realizing I might have missed something. I always thought cross-dressing was just a niche thing. But this is about identity, expression, maybe even freedom. I think you should sleep on it, she said, standing up and stretching. It's late, and you're in no shape to drive. I've made up the spare room for you. The truth was, I was exhausted. The mix of emotions and the late hour had left me drained. She led me down the hall, hugged me softly, and helped me out of the outfit before saying goodnight. Alone, I sat at the vanity for a while, reflecting. The person I'd seen in the mirror tonight wasn't a joke or a costume. They were me, or at least a version of me I'd never dared to explore. I washed off the makeup and changed into something comfortable before bed. As I lay awake, replaying the night's conversations in my mind, I realized how deeply it had affected me. The feelings of confidence, of curiosity, of possibility lingered long after I closed my eyes. The next morning, groggy but thoughtful, I got dressed and walked to the kitchen. Michelle was already there, pouring coffee, smiling as if she could read the questions swirling in my head. Good morning. Did you sleep well? She asked with a smile, though I caught a flicker of something else in her eyes. Maybe concern, maybe disappointment. Morning, I said, rubbing my eyes. Not too great. Strange bed. She nodded knowingly. Coffee? I took the cup she offered and stared down at the table. Not feeling too bright this morning, she asked gently. I forced a small smile. No, I feel fine, honestly. Of course, that was just another way of saying I didn't. You're not having a morning after guilt trip, are you? She teased lightly. I looked up, sheepish. You could say that. Steve, no one will ever know except you and me. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. Oh, no, it's nothing like that, I said quickly. I know you'd never tell anyone, and I'm not ashamed. Anything but. I loved it. I couldn't sleep because I kept thinking about the clothes, how they felt, how they made me feel. That's the problem. Problem? Where's the problem? She asked, tilting her head. This is a big change for me, I admitted. I never imagined I'd enjoy cross-dressing. My heart says I want to do it again, but my mind keeps telling me it's wrong. Sorry, I'm not explaining this well. Don't worry about it, she said softly. It's just an experience, a way to explore a different side of yourself. Now, she grinned suddenly. Where are you taking me for lunch? I laughed. Somewhere quiet in the countryside with a log fire. It's midsummer, she exclaimed. Well, the fire won't be lit, I replied, giving her a playful tap as she walked past. She was stunning, this woman, and I was beginning to realize I was growing truly fond of her. Sunday passed in a dreamy blur, a quiet lunch, a walk beside a river, and hours of conversation. Michelle was radiant, and yet a shadow lingered in my thoughts. Part of me longed to rush home and explore this new side of myself again. Another part insisted I treat the whole thing as nothing more than a one-time experiment. She must have sensed my mood. As we parted that evening, she said gently, Steve, don't overthink this. It's not worth making yourself miserable. You'll figure it out. Thanks, Michelle, I said. For a wonderful weekend. I have a lot of thinking to do, but whatever happens, I'd still like to see you again. And so you may, she replied with a smile. I hardly slept again that night, and by Monday morning I was running on fumes. Morning, Steve, came a cheerful voice at the door. Mike walked in and shut it behind him. Hi, Mike, I said. Good weekend. Wonderful, he said with a grin. Met this really amazing girl. A real knockout. I looked up sharply, but he was clearly joking. Really? You seeing her again? Don't know yet. Hope so. Wonderful girl, he teased. Good for you, I said with a chuckle. You look a bit peaky though, he noted, peering at the shadows under my eyes. Looks like you've got a problem. My grandmother always said, if the tree is too tall for the elephant to scratch, place lemongrass on the wound. I burst out laughing. What on earth does that mean? No idea, he admitted. She was absolutely bonkers. But seriously, Steve, don't lose any more sleep over this. It'll sort itself out. He patted my shoulder and left. His words stayed with me. Maybe he was right. Maybe all Mike wanted was to share a new part of himself, and maybe, just maybe, he wanted me to be part of it too. For the next few days, I buried myself in work, refusing to dwell on Saturday night. But every time my thoughts drifted back, I couldn't help smiling. By Thursday, I'd made my decision. My life as a man had been dull. A failed marriage. No social life. A job that barely sparked my interest. And long, lonely nights online, chasing distractions that never filled the void. But Michelle had shown me something different, a new way to feel alive. I realized I didn't just enjoy dressing that night. I craved the feeling of confidence and beauty it brought. And more than anything, I was falling for Michelle. The questions still circled, about identity, attraction, what any of this meant. But one thing was clear, I wanted to keep exploring this part of myself. And I wasn't going to be afraid of it anymore. Mike stopped by as usual during the tea break and tossed a donut onto my desk. So, are you seeing this wonderful girl this weekend? I asked innocently. Not sure yet, he replied through a mouthful of dough and sugar. Maybe you should check your stars, I teased, picking up the newspaper. When's your birthday? August 30th, Virgo, he said. Story of my life. Let's see. With the conjunction of Mars and Uranus, a turning point approaches. Your hopes will be fulfilled. A weekend of happiness awaits. There you go, Mike, looking good. His eyes widened. Really? Wow. I laughed. Of course, you can't believe in all this astrology nonsense. I just made that up. That night, I called Michelle. Look, I've got a free weekend, a couple of steaks, and some wine. I was wondering if we could pick up where we left off last Saturday. Of course, she said cheerfully. I was hoping you'd ask. I spent the next day preparing, shopping for the meal, choosing a small gift, and packing a few things. When I arrived at her place, she greeted me with a bright, excited smile. Come in, she said. I'm glad you're early. Are you sure you want to do this? Definitely, I replied. I've been thinking about it all week. She poured us each a glass of wine, then led me toward the bedroom. Would you like help getting ready? She asked with a knowing smile. I think I'll need it, I admitted. I don't even know where to start. We began with the basics, soft stockings, a carefully chosen outfit, and a bit of makeup instruction. Michelle guided me through each step, explaining how to create balance, match tones, and choose complementary styles. It was less about dressing up and more about transformation, a way to experience the world differently.